Good morning, everyone, from Ford City, Pennsylvania. This is Chuck King on Saturday, September 18th, 2021, bringing you a morning Bible study. And we have been learning lessons from Proverbs. And today we are on Proverbs 23. Proverbs 23, verse 1. When you sit down to dine with a ruler, consider carefully what is before you, and put a knife to your throat if you are a man of great appetite. Do not desire his delicacies, for it is deceptive food. So here's an exhortation to be careful what you receive from a ruler or a government leader, because they may be trying to deceive you. That's the message here. And don't be gluttonous, of course, because they would have a lot of good food and rich food, and you should be careful what you eat from a rich person or a leader, and their delicacies can be deceptive. So there's, I think, a double message there. Don't be influenced by rulers, and don't receive their worldly provisions. Verse 4, do not weary yourself to gain wealth. Cease from your consideration of it. When you set your eyes on it, it is gone. For wealth certainly makes itself wings like an eagle that flies toward the heavens. So we have this instruction, this wisdom from the Lord, not to wear ourselves out to get material things, because they're fleeting, and they certainly don't fulfill what we really need. They fly away. They're temporary. And if you wear yourself out to be rich, it can and will damage you. Verse 6, do not eat the bread of a selfish man, or desire his delicacies, for as he thinks within himself, so he is. He says, you eat and drink, but his heart is not with you. You will vomit up the morsel you have eaten and waste your compliments. So here we have an interesting word about eating the food of a selfish person. And he may tell you to go ahead and eat and drink, but he doesn't want you to. He's selfish, thinking only of himself. And you'll waste your compliments, because his attitude is not really to show hospitality to you as a selfish person. Verse 9, do not speak in the hearing of a fool, for he will despise the wisdom of your words. Fools don't receive wisdom or knowledge or the fear of the Lord, so there's no point trying to reach a fool. Verse 10, do not move the ancient boundary, or go into the fields of the fatherless, for their Redeemer is strong. He will plead their case against you. So we have mentioned a number of times this importance of the ancient boundary, and we're not supposed to try to steal people's land by moving the boundary in our favor, or somehow steal from the fatherless, because the scripture says that the Lord watches over everyone, what they do, and he protects the poor and will bring judgment against you. Excuse me. Verse 12, apply your heart to discipline and your ears to words of knowledge. So there we have the often repeated exhortation to embrace discipline and knowledge. We need to be diligent to pursue them. Verse 13, do not hold back discipline from the child. Although you strike him with the rod, he will not die. You shall strike him with the rod and rescue his soul from Sheol. So here we have a strong word to discipline our children. Even corporal punishments mentioned here. That discipline of a child is very important to form their habits and their behavior so that they don't go off in destructive behavior. Verse 15, my son, if your heart is wise, my own heart also will be glad, and my inmost being will rejoice when your lips speak what is right. So from the perspective of the Lord, he rejoices when we embrace his wisdom. He is happy with us when we speak his words. Verse 17, do not let your heart envy sinners, but live in the fear of the Lord always. We should never envy the wicked lifestyle of the lost, but we should always live in the fear of the Lord. Verse 18, surely there is a future, and your hope will not be cut off. That's in reference to that last verse about the fear of the Lord, that our future is bright when we live in the fear of the Lord. Verse 19, listen, my son, and be wise, and direct your heart in the way. So we have, again, repeated word here in Proverbs for wisdom and obeying the way of the Lord. Verse 20, do not be with heavy drinkers of wine or with gluttonous eaters of meat, for the heavy drinker and the glutton will come to poverty, and drowsiness will clothe one with rags. So we should avoid this excessive use of alcohol and food. This is clear here that those are both detrimental. Gluttony and drunkenness is destructive and will bring us to poverty. Verse 22, listen to your father who begot you, and do not despise your mother when she is old. Another word to honor your parents, your father and your mother. God's promise is long life if we do so. Verse 23, buy truth and do not sell it. Get wisdom and instruction and understanding. So wisdom and instruction and understanding and truth are sought after by the person who really is seeking the Lord. Verse 24, the father of the righteous will greatly rejoice, and he who sires a wise son will be glad in him. Let your father and your mother be glad, and let her rejoice who gave birth to you. So the parents are pleased, they're happy, and rejoice when their children walk in righteousness and wisdom of the Lord. Verse 26, give me your heart, my son, and let your eyes delight in my ways. So the very heart, the very soul, the mind of the person is necessarily given to the Lord in faith and trust in order for that person to delight in the way of the Lord. Verse 27, for a harlot is a deep pit, and an adulterous woman is a narrow well. Surely she lurks as a robber and increases the faithless among men. Another word against sexual sin with a harlot, of living in adultery, how destructive it is, how damaging that sinful behavior is. Verse 29, who has woe, who has sorrow, who has contentions, who has complaining, who has wounds without cause, who has redness of eyes, those who linger long over wine, those who go to taste mixed wine. Do not look on the wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup, when it goes down smoothly. At the last it bites like a serpent and stings like a viper. Your eyes will see strange things, and your mind will utter perverse things, and you will be like one who lies down in the middle of the sea, or like one who lies down on top of a mast. They struck me, but I will not become ill. They beat me, but I did not know it. When shall I awake? I will seek another drink. So here's a long description of what happens to people who overindulge in alcohol. Woe and sorrow and contentions and complaining and wounds without cause. Those who drink too much, and they become out of reality in their behavior, and they're sick and they're disoriented. All these things is the fruit of drinking too much alcohol. And so we have Proverbs 23 giving us a little different twist. The verses were, the subjects were many times multiple verses instead of just one, like the other Proverbs we've read. And we see these exhortations always on life and conduct to avoid the way of the world, the way of sinful man, the way of destruction that comes from ignoring the wisdom and knowledge and fear of the Lord. So there's some more lessons from Proverbs 23 and some teachings against overeating and over drinking alcohol, and some other commandments here to seek the Lord instead of the world. We'll study Proverbs 24 tomorrow. God bless you.